Okay, here we go again for like the fucking 5th time in this video. So, this is an update from yesterday. I did the unboxing. This is what I've got done in the first night. Took probably about 3 hours. And I got the chassis rails on, the front shock mount, or front shock tower, I guess is the right word for it, the front A-arms, the steering bell crank, and the top plate, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it took about 3 to 4 hours. It's pretty complicated. There are some parts in the book that is not really described really well. You know, in my mind, I've never done it before, so for a beginner, you really got to pay attention, you know, to what's going on the book, and really take a look at some of like the finished pictures here. Because if you look up here, you know, there's spots on the bell crank, or yeah, the steering rack, that, you know, it says there is a part labeled on the top that says top, and you know how it says front, but there's really no, when you come over here, you can't see, you know, whether it says top right there or not. So you really got to pay attention. Like how I figured it out is if you look here, you can tell that, you know, the spot that the ball stud screws into, it looks like it's kind of set back rather than up forward. You know, and if you come down, let's see, I'll try to find it because there's a spot on here. Okay, I can't find it right now at the moment. But this part gave me a little bit of an issue of the way it sit, you know, and it's got little warnings in here that says, you know, note the orientation of the steering rack. You know, and you really got to pay attention to the way it goes, or else it doesn't fit right. Things don't work right. So this gave me a little bit of issue. Probably took me 30 minutes to really look at that and figure out how, you know, that was mounted up. But I ended up getting it done, and it's done right. So you can see, you know, it's that was bag 1. Step 1 there was steering rack, you know, and the arms and whatnot. And we got through bag 1. Step 2, we opened bag 2, which starts mounting the steering rack and the chassis rails and the this little piece here. I can't think of the name right off the bat. You know, and you got to pay attention to these little deals. There's 2 different settings on there, and I'm keeping it with the kit setting, which is 25 degrees rather than 30 degrees. However, in the future, if I need to swap that, I will. Come over here. And this says bag 2, step 2, where you do the, you know, chassis rails and the foam. I didn't put the foams in yet. That's something I'll get to later down the road. I do have a battery and all the electronics for this car. Last night I didn't get a chance. My steering servo, which is actually part of bag 2 here, I didn't get a chance to mount. The steering servo that I'm going to use for the buggy is actually in my short course truck. So pop that off there. I'm going to use this Protect servo. This is a $100 steering servo. So I'm going to take the steering servo out of the short course truck and put it into the buggy because it's a really fast servo. Other than that, all the electronics in the short course truck are going to stay in the short course truck. Other than the lap counter, I will swap those between the buggy and the short course. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is take the steering servo out of the short course truck, take the steering servo out of the rustler that I have here. See my rustler? I'm going to take this, has a Savox servo in it. So I'm going to take the Savox servo out of the rustler, put that into the short course truck, and then put the $100 Protect servo that I have in the short course truck in the buggy, because that is part of the bag 2, and I didn't get to it last night because I didn't have the steering servo with me. So that is why the steering servo is not in the buggy. So tonight, tomorrow, I'll start building on the buggy again, and we were going to go right into, let's see, it goes into step 5, bag 2. We're still working with steering servo. So tonight, we got plumbed through bag 2. We're just going to say that. You can see here, you know, where it shows mounting the top plate, you know, and things like this right here, where you see these 2 bolts coming down. You know, you got to really pay attention. It doesn't really point, but if you look real close right there, there's little indentions, and that's where those 2 screws go. So things like that, where it's got a line right here, they should have made a line, in my opinion, to those little holes so you could tell exactly where those things go. One of the other things I have a digital micrometer. So if you're going to buy a kit car, I would suggest you get a micrometer, because these screws are mixed in the bags. So you see where it says 3 by 10 millimeters? If I didn't have a micrometer, there would be no way I could tell that these screws were 10 millimeter versus 16 millimeter or not. So that's something, if you're going to build a kit car, I recommend get a micrometer. Because if you come here and you look, let's see here, all of these different size nuts and bolts, or these are actually screws, I guess you could say, are in this kit, and they're mixed. So without a digital micrometer, you really couldn't tell what's the difference between 8 millimeters and 10 millimeters. And that's one thing I haven't seen in unboxings on the internet. So for somebody that's going to build a kit car, buy a micrometer. You can get them on eBay for $10, and they're well worth the money. So that's pretty much it for like little things that I'd point out that, you know, you wouldn't really notice. Here's some things that are really good about the kit. You know, it gives you little notes right here. You know, front hinge pin brace has a sharp edge and a rounded edge. And it does, if you really pay attention. It's kind of like a little chrome piece on there. See if I can come over here if I can see it. And you really can't see it because the bumper covers it. Well, you kind of can. See right there, there's a little chrome piece on the inside of the A-arm. That's what they're talking about. So, the other thing to note, you see here on the bottom, those two there, and those two there, and then these three down, those are also different links, and it doesn't tell you what screw is what. So if we come back here, if you look, you know, on paper, if you look, it says a 3 by 10 millimeter just for those 4 screws, but if you come over here and you look at these, they're 3 by 8s. So looking in the bag, when you have, you know, 10 screws or 15 screws in the bag and they're 2 millimeters difference, you can't tell that. So buy a micrometer if you're going to build a kit car. It's just the way to go. Other little things I noticed right here was one thing, and it really took me a little while to kind of figure it out. Let's see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, here, these 2 screws here, this one here, 3 by 4, and this one here, they sit in the back of the A-arm, and what they do is they hold the hinge pin here from sliding in or out. So that's something else to note, but they don't show you. If you come up here and you look, it doesn't point to where those screws go. I mean, if you see here, it kind of does, but that's on the inside. The screw goes from the outside. So that's something else to note. You know, you just got to pay attention to it. It's kind of weird. Those hold the hinge pins from sliding out, but then if you come down here and you look, you have set screws. So I'm not real sure about that, but the set screws allow you to adjust how fast the arm falls. Like if you look at my arms, you know, I've got one arm that falls a little faster than the other. See if you hold it upside down here. You know, see that one's already down and this one's kind of slowly going. So that's something I'll have to adjust the set screws to make sure that it's right. But I just wanted to do another update today because I said I'm going to do updates through my build. So that's where I'm at. So today we're going to be on bag 3, step 1, or we'll say tomorrow. And it looks like front hubs or rear hubs, I can't really tell. I do have an aftermarket set of hubs that's going on this car that are $40, aluminum blue hubs. So I'm going to replace those right off the bat. So I think that's it for this video. I just wanted to show the little problems I had with the build and things like that. Also, I do have all my electronics and stuff, but I'm not going to hint bomb anything that I got because it's good stuff. And I will put that on another video when I start putting it in. So that's it. Everybody's good. And my little pit stand, I never did a video on that. A little thing I bought on eBay for like, I think $10 or something I paid for it. It's all aluminum. It's got a little measuring deal on the bottom. Maybe some holes you can put shocks in or something like that. I don't know. But that's it, guys. A little update of how far I got last night and all the things I still got to do. One thing to note, I am going to have my short course still complete. This thing is running a 13.5. So this car is going to stay complete so that way I can have 2 full race car or race buggy, race truck. So, and the Rustler is also complete. It runs. I'm just going to put the stock servo back into it. So, well, that's pretty much it, guys. That's my update of my buggy and what I got done in about 4 hours of work. So, yep, I'll do another update when I get a little further into it.